A woman adopted an orphan black girl, but when she bathed her, she uncovered a terrible truth. Karen Sanders never envisioned her retirement beginning like this, with a child she had never met standing barefoot in her hallway, gazing up at her with wide, silent eyes. It had only been 2 weeks since she visited the local orphan outreach center. She wasn't planning to adopt. She had gone to donate books or perhaps volunteer for story hour. Yet the moment she stepped into the room, her attention was drawn to a small girl standing alone near a window, dressed in a dirty brown shirt and jeans. Her tiny frame barely filled the fabric. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply watched. Her name was Amma, no last name, no birth records found. Alone near a warehouse district, dirty, afraid, unable or unwilling to speak. Karen felt an immediate pull toward her. Something about those big, broken eyes, that quiet way she looked around, as if trying to remain invisible. Her heart cracked. Karen spoke with the staff, asked about Amma's background. No one knew much. She requested to sit beside her. Amma didn't run. She just blinked and shifted slightly. That same evening, the papers were signed. Karen brought Amma home, wrapping her in a thick, soft cardigan, which the child clung to tightly, as if it might vanish. She didn't speak during the drive, barely blinking at the passing birds or trees. Karen tried gentle conversation, talked about her garden, her big fluffy cat named Oliver, the color of her bedroom walls, but Amma remained silent. At home, Karen showed her the room she'd prepared. Lavender walls, a soft bed with moon-printed sheets, a tiny bookshelf filled with picture books. Amma entered slowly, turning her head as if she'd never seen anything like it. That night, she didn't eat the soup Karen made nor sit at the table. She stood by the wall as if awaiting instructions or punishment. When bedtime came, Karen let her sleep as she wished. Amma curled into a tight ball, clothes still on, no blanket pulled, and made no sound. By the next morning, Karen sensed something was wrong. Amma flinched at running water, disliked doors being closed, avoided toys and music, and hadn't spoken a single word. Karen didn't push her, but couldn't ignore her clothes state or the smell in her hair. She hadn't been properly cleaned in, who knew how long. So Karen decided on a gentle bath, running warm water slowly, adding bubbles, placing 2 soft towels nearby, and setting a small yellow duck beside the faucet. She softly knocked on Amma's door. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "would you like to take a bath?" "Just warm water. I'll be right here with you." Amma hesitated, but then slowly followed into the bathroom. Karen helped her remove her shirt, worn so thin it nearly tore, and her jeans. Amma stood still, shoulders hunched. Karen cupped water in her hand, gently pouring it over Amma's back. That's when it happened. Amma screamed, a raw, painful sound echoing off the tiled walls. She jumped back so forcefully she slipped, falling against the tub. Karen rushed forward to catch her, but the girl was already panicking. Eyes wide, arms flailing, mouth open in a silent wail. Karen froze, not because of the scream, but because, as the water soaked into Amma's skin, she saw what lay beneath the dirt. Long, pale scars, lines that curved over her back like ropes, circular marks on her arms, burns, bruises, layers of injuries no child should carry. Karen gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Amma screamed again, now crouched and crying, not just from fear, but from memory. Karen quickly wrapped her in a towel, holding her against her chest as the girl trembled uncontrollably. "You're okay," Karen whispered, voice trembling. "You're safe. No one's going to hurt you." But Amma didn't respond. She only clung tighter. That night, Karen didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring into the dark, her heart pounding. The scars weren't fresh, but they weren't ancient either. They looked like they'd been inflicted in waves over time. She thought of every article she'd read on child abuse, trafficking, underground rings that used fake adoption channels. Could Amma have escaped one? She needed to know more. The next day, she called the shelter. "What do you know about this girl?" she asked directly. A pause. "She came in late at night," the director replied. "She was brought in by a man claiming he found her near a bus depot. We never located her family. There were no records." Karen's voice tightened. "Did anyone do a medical exam? Did you even look under her clothes?" Silence. We were overwhelmed that week. She was quiet, seemed stable. Karen hung up, standing in the hallway outside Amma's room, listening to the faint hum of the girl's lullaby toy. Her fists clenched. Amma had not just been abandoned, she'd been tortured, and someone had allowed it to happen. Over the next few days, Karen adjusted everything. She changed her approach to water, introduced sponge baths, used a cup instead of a faucet. She let Amma pick her pajamas, removed anything that caused sudden noise, and took her to a trauma-informed pediatrician who confirmed her suspicions. These are intentional injuries, the doctor said softly, likely inflicted over time. She may not remember all of it, or more likely, she remembers too much. Karen nodded slowly. Amma still hadn't spoken until one afternoon, while they were drawing at the kitchen table. Amma paused and looked up. "Hot," she whispered. Karen looked over. Amma pointed to her own shoulder. "Hot water." Karen swallowed hard. She set down the crayon and leaned closer. "Who did that to you, honey?" Amma's lip trembled. She reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small wooden stick, burned at the tip, barely noticeable. Karen stared, realizing immediately, this wasn't just neglect. It was a warning, a sign someone had marked this child, and they might still be out there. Karen's eyes fixed on the scorched wooden stick in Amma's hand. It was small, maybe the size of a toothbrush, but its charred tip and crude edges made her blood run cold. "Where did you get this?" she asked softly, kneeling beside Amma. Amma didn't speak. She only pointed to a small cloth bag she'd brought from the shelter, a bag Karen had assumed held only rags or a toy. Carefully, she opened it and found crumpled paper, a worn doll's button, and a torn sketch of a woman's face. No mouth, drawn in black pencil. But it was the paper that took her breath away. Partially burned, it read, "Hold her, mark her." "She is property." Karen's stomach churned. Whoever had written this hadn't just abandoned Amma. They had branded her, treated her like an object, a possession, and perhaps they were still out there. That night after Amma had fallen asleep, Karen sat at her kitchen table, her tea forgotten, the paper lit by a single lamp, and she typed every word from the note into her search bar, scouring databases, old news articles, missing children registries. And then she found something, a raid report from 6 years ago. A farmhouse on the outskirts of a nearby town was shut down for suspected child trafficking. The case had stalled, no charges filed, but inside the police file, one image stood out, a shelf lined with carved branding sticks, just like the one Amma kept. Her breath caught. She printed the article and tucked it into a folder. She knew what she had to do next. The following morning, she drove to meet Martin Rhodes, a local journalist known for exposing abuse in government systems. "I need you to see something," she said, laying out the paper, the stick, and the police image. Martin listened, took notes, frowned. When Karen told him about Amma's scars, the scream in the bathtub, the word "hot" whispered in the dark, he sat back and said, "I'm going to write this story, but we need to be careful." Together, they contacted authorities. Karen filed a report, medical records were gathered, photographs documented every scar. Amma's case, long forgotten, was now being reopened. Detectives asked questions, and Karen made sure Amma was never left alone during it all. Slowly, something remarkable began to unfold. Amma, who had once barely spoken, started to answer, little by little. She whispered, "Red truck" one day, "big man" another. She drew pictures of a room with a small window, children lined up, water poured too hot, told not to scream. Karen listened every night, wrote everything down. Amma kept going because, at last, she believed someone was listening. The investigation expanded. 3 other children, living in different cities, were identified with similar scars. One recognized Amma's drawing of the stick. Another confirmed the burned paper message. The man behind it had changed his name and moved away, but the case against him grew stronger each day. One morning, as Karen and Amma ate cereal at the kitchen table, the phone rang. "He's been arrested," the officer said. "Thanks to Amma's testimony, we finally had enough." Karen turned to Amma, tears welling. "He can't hurt anyone anymore," she whispered. Amma simply stared for a long moment, then quietly said, "Good." 3 months later, in a courtroom filled with reporters and officers, Amma stood beside Karen. The man didn't even look at her, but when the judge asked if anyone wished to speak, Amma raised her hand. Karen froze. Amma stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. "You called me property," she said, "but I'm not. I'm not yours. I belong to me, and I'm not afraid of you anymore." Silence fell. Even the judge blinked hard. Karen squeezed her hand. Moments later, the verdict was announced. Guilty on all counts. The day Karen legally adopted Amma, the sun shone through the courthouse windows like a quiet blessing. Amma wore a blue dress, her hair braided and tied with yellow beads. She held Karen's hand tightly as the judge signed the papers. "Do you understand what this means, Amma?" the judge asked. Amma smiled softly. "It means I'm free." That evening, back home, Amma stood in front of the small wooden box Karen had mounted on her bedroom wall. Inside sat the branding stick, but now beside it hung a crayon-written sign in bold letters. "I am not property, I am loved." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. Let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching. One morning, as Karen and Amma ate cereal at the kitchen table, the phone rang. "He's been arrested," the officer said. "Thanks to Amma's testimony, we finally had enough." Karen turned to Amma, tears welling. "He can't hurt anyone anymore," she whispered. Amma simply stared for a long moment, then quietly said, "Good." 3 months later, in a courtroom filled with reporters and officers, Amma stood beside Karen. The man didn't even look at her, but when the judge asked if anyone wished to speak, Amma raised her hand. Karen froze. Amma stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. "You called me property," she said, "but I'm not. I'm not yours. I belong to me, and I'm not afraid of you anymore." Silence fell. Even the judge blinked hard. Karen squeezed her hand. Moments later, the verdict was announced. Guilty on all counts. The day Karen legally adopted Amma, the sun shone through the courthouse windows like a quiet blessing. Amma wore a blue dress, her hair braided and tied with yellow beads. She held Karen's hand tightly as the judge signed the papers. "Do you understand what this means, Amma?" the judge asked. Amma smiled softly. "It means I'm free." That evening, back home, Amma stood in front of the small wooden box Karen had mounted on her bedroom wall. Inside sat the branding stick, but now beside it hung a crayon-written sign in bold letters. "I am not property, I am loved." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. Let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.